Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, coaches around the world, welcome to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets. It's your boy, the road dog, with none other than the man, the myth, the non-drinking legend, Karl 2.0. Welcome.
Shoots. We said it in the pre-show. We'll say it here. I'm rather proud of myself, if I'm honest. At a big party. When I say big, I mean it was a decent-sized party. Had a little Christmas bash, and Road Dog, you have been to our Christmas bashes in the past. So it was pretty fun. A lot of people, and I did not drink an ounce, and I have not drank an ounce, and I don't even know how long, but I'm going to say 10 drinks in the last 90 days as we sit here. So there you go, Shits. Is that what 2.0? Is that my?
Yeah,
and by the way, I just missed this.
No, I wasn't referring to your height in feet and inches. Was there any 6'6" elves at this shindig?
Yeah, he was there. 6'5" Steve was here. He's here. He's in town, man. 6'5" Steve. So there you go.
There you go. There you go. Beauty. By the way, shout out to the pub at Kettle Valley on Main. There's a little shout out. Pam says hello. And she said she was rather disappointed that you didn't stop in, not even for a pint, the last time you were in town. So you are in big trouble, my friend, the next time you
tell
see
her I did stop by, but she wasn't there multiple times. But anyways, that's cool. But
likely story.
I know, true story, man, true story. But I love Pam, so please send my love back. Let's rock, man. What do we got for these folks?
Well, I got a couple of questions. I've got actually a personal question before I get to the list of questions, because I am all about doing the events right now, and obviously, as we're recording this, it's the week before Christmas. I feel like there's like a story there. Was the night before Christmas and all through the house, right? And I'm trying to figure out, have you had success in that, the week after Christmas and before New Year's? Because I plan on doing at least 2 events next week. Yeah. And I'm just wondering if, am I wasting my time, Karl, or are there people out there that are like, hey, done, Christmas is over, I got to prep for the new year? What are your thoughts on that?
So my thoughts are, I trying to think of an event in between there. No doubt I could guarantee I did it. I cannot remember how it went, but I just tell you this, that it's always best to push forward. You know what I mean? Like, I think we talked about it last time, or maybe the podcast before. It's separation season. And so I would just say this, the reason they won't come is because they're putting their feet up. And I think that can be certainly if you could get them on the phone in some way, shape, or form, or get them to put their hand up. I think the reason they should come is because, again, it's separation season, and it's their time, both subconsciously and consciously, or you know what I mean? Their foundation. The harder, the work, and harder it is the harder you work, the harder it is to give up, right? So that's the reason why they should come. And there's plenty of folks in that week, the same way that you're amped up to work. There's a lot of other people amped up to work. So I think you can do fine. But the bottom line is, if only let's just say you're expecting 10 and only 5 show up, that's going to be you're going to get a get out of jail free pass. You just say, look, we had people, you know what I mean? Like, it's going to be a real easy one to say, we got a small audience for the obvious reasons, but high five to you, and everybody high five one another in the room for, working your butt off when everybody else is putting their feet up, eating turkey, having a couple extra beers, and we're here building our companies. So yeah, that's my answer is the show should, the show going on is a better angle, a better story than than the show hitting pause because everybody, you wanted to put your feet up. But that being said, Road Dog, let's assume we're not talking to Road Dog here and somebody else, like, tell me where your airplane's at. Little red arrow, you are here. And maybe the individual listening just needs a break. Maybe they haven't seen their parents, they haven't seen their kids, they haven't seen their grandkids in X amount of time. And this is the season. This is the time where they need to put their feet up and concentrate on family, concentrate on their mental health, concentrate on themselves. Then you know what? Go for it. You know what I mean? Like it's got to be a personal. You know what I mean? Like I would recommend to be a personal thing. So I don't want to say that, hey, you should have that event if you're listening, no matter what, because Road Dog and I say you should be aggressive versus passive, or however you want to position it. So anyway, so that's what I would say. But I think it's a great idea. If I'm doing it, I'm coming up with a reason to do the event, not coming up with reasons why I shouldn't do the event. So that's
I think maybe, Karl, if I even put in there, like, just market it as separation season, right? Like, this is it. And then, but my thought is, and my motivator, the people that are likely to attend are far more likely to say yes.
Yeah,
right?
Totally.
Right?
Yes.
Like, these are
strong. You're going to get a strong. You only get 7 people in the room. You're going to feel comfortable that you got 7 solid entrepreneurs. Because remember, the ultimate trait that I'm looking for in a coaching client is hunger. Right? What's Serena Williams, Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic, Michael Schumacher back in the day, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, you name it. What separates them from the others? Like, like Roger Federer, towards the end, he had more money than ever, than he could ever spend in 7 lifetimes, right? Novak Djokovic, he's got gobs and gobs and gobs and gobs of money, and he's, going to go, you know what I mean? He's got, well, I don't know, maybe again, he doesn't feel like he has a standing in the all time. Nadal's now making a comeback. I mean, the guy's got so many injuries and so many issues, and he's making he's showing up to the Australian Open this year. We're making a best shot at it. You wonder, what the hell? What is wrong with you, dude? Like, just chill out, man. Go enjoy your family. Put your feet up. Stop training. Take a bit of a break. But we don't understand that insatiable drive to succeed, that hunger. It comes from within. And he feels, I don't need to sit down and have a beer with the guy to know that, and I don't drink beer. And by the way, I'm not saying that I'm never drinking beer again. Who knows? Crazier things have happened, by the way. But you know what I mean? Sit down and have a beer with the guy. It's a whole, right? Like he is playing in the Australian Open and getting himself back into shape because he's got a hole and he just feels like he's got to fill it, and he fills it by, playing in these tournaments. So anyways, that's the answer, Shoots. That's what I think.
I'm just glad you didn't segue back to your terrible jokes. Filling holes. Anyways, listen, but this is actually a great segue, not to dad jokes, but in terms of just what it takes to succeed. And I guess more of a general question, like, what do you think is the must-have, right, for a business coach to succeed?
The must-have. Well, you can't train soft and expect to play hard. I would say that's something I said to we got a local legends group, number of groups. And that's something that I said to them this week, and I kind of put a stamp on it, an exclamation mark. Tell you, Road Dog, when a man truly loves a woman, she becomes his weakness. And when a woman truly loves a man, he becomes her strength, right? Translation, this is not a dating podcast. You're not in the wrong place. But translation, when you truly, how am I going to say this? Like, when you truly love your career as a business coach, it's going to become your strength. And when you don't love it, when you don't love your career, it's going to be the polar opposite. But again, you can't train soft and expect to play hard. The ones that don't look, I know this for a fact. The business coaches that don't succeed, and it would be the same in comedy and the same in politics and the same in acting and the same in sport. They treat it like a 90-day experiment, right? You've got to go all in, capitalize all in, bold it, italicize it, underline it, etc. It's not an experiment. It's your career. Approach it like a pro athlete. and train the way that they would train. And by the way, that is borderline unhealthy and at obsessive levels. I mean, it is not uncommon for a guy that plays in the NFL, a guy that plays in the NBA to train for 5 hours in the gym and go hard, right? Training for 5 hours, sweating. You know what I mean? Like not like, looking in the mirror at the gym. We're talking about like going hard. And that said, if you don't have a destination for your sale, no amount of wind is actually going to help you, right? So you don't go to the gym and just start picking up weights and throwing them around randomly. There needs to be a program. You got to have like a 3-day split. You got to go in. You're working legs. You work your legs. You're working you're working your chest. You're working your chest. You're working your biceps. You're doing your, what I mean, traps, etc. Shoulder day. You know what I mean? Like you got to have a game plan. Don't just throw, it's not spaghetti at the wall, right? But the benefit of knowing that you're all in, it's like psychology, right? It's like the Rocky story, right? Rocky Balboa. It's Nelson Mandela. It's Jackie Robinson and baseball. It's Oprah with their talk show. It's Walmart and Sam Walton. By the way, if you haven't read the book Made in America, it's absolutely famous. That might be a great, if you know an entrepreneur and they have not read that book, that would be an unbelievable gift. And it would be a gift for you. It'd be a gift for your business to read the book. What is it? I think it's called Made in America. Yeah, Made in America. That's it. And just what he overcame to build Walmart and the way that he went about it. Just incredible. And again, it's Rocky Balboa, it's Nelson Mandela, etc. Just that, huge challenge. In fact, something I watched just recently was the Arnold. He's got a 3-part documentary series, and like number 1 is about his weightlifting career and Mr. Universe, and then the second one is about his acting career and becoming like the number 1 action hero. Actually, him and Balboa, him and Sylvester Stallone, kind of neck and neck, and that's kind of covered. But his acting career, and then the 3rd episode is about his political career. And by the way, he sacrificed an enormous amount, family and otherwise, to achieve such great success, which he outlines in the, which is right there for you to see. But at the end of the day, he knew exactly what he wanted, and he had that insatiable appetite, that hunger that you can't manufacture it. You got it or you don't. So basically, when you go all in, it's about the psychology of knowing you don't have, you blow up. Like if you want to take the island, what do? You turn around and blow up the damn boats. Okay, there's no going back. There's no swimming to safety. There's only conquering. Or the story Road Dog, I've talked about a lot, but like Mel Fisher, took this guy 17 years to find whatever it was, let's call it $100 million treasure off the Florida Keys. But he had 3 core values or 4 core beliefs that the treasure was there, that he would be able to find it, right? And him, right? Not somebody, but him. And then most importantly, that it would be worth it, right? He had, he lost family members, he lost his fortune, he lost wives, lost a kid. The whole, it was just anybody else you'd think would have given up, my heavens, right? You really hear the whole story. It's a movie. But at the end of the day, he found it, right? So the secret ingredient shoots, go all in, and it'll be worth it. So I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. So, okay. I want to follow that up, but before I go to the next question, oh my God, I'm just dragging this much longer today. Sorry, buddy. Because when you were talking about Arnie there, and he's, it's like 3 very clear, very distinct targets that he went after. So when you say go all in, he didn't go after all 3 at once. Obviously he couldn't, but let's just say, right? Because there's a lot of people that they say they're all in, but they're also doing other things. So is there kind of any warning or any advice you'd give there? Because that doesn't sound to me like you're all in and 100% committed. You're still working on 3 other projects.
Okay. Yes. Great point, by the way. But it's like, okay, so first of all, you're a business coach, you're going all in. How many people start as a business coach and then have their, continue in their full-time job and won't quit until they see it work? That would be an example, right? And by the way, should you just randomly quit when you got 3 kids? No. I do, you know what I mean? I think that would be a good idea to get started. But, as soon as you start to see that rubber meet the road and you go, you know what, I can do this. I got these 2 clients. I did it in this way. If I just pour gasoline on those activities and do it, I think I'll be significantly better off. I'm going to pay way less tax to do. I'm going to have, a little bit of, time freedom would be a little bit of an exaggeration because entrepreneur, you're going to work real freaking hard. But that being said, at least you're going to be working on stuff that you feel, you're going to be building something for you, right? But like as an example, Road Dog, like okay, so you're going to become a business coach and you go all in, and then you go, okay, well, how are you going to go about generating leads? And it's like, okay, like we have a local legends program. This is literally a talk that I've given every single group, but you got to go all in on those local live events. So somebody sends you a referral, guess what you do? Invite them to your live event. You meet somebody at you're sitting beside somebody in an airplane and they want to start a business. Guess what you do? You invite them to your event. You got an accountant and he goes, look, I really love what I saw and I'd like to promote, you know what I mean? I'd like to promote you and understand how we could work closer together. Okay, perfect. Send people to my event. And then you do your event, like I said, every Tuesday at the chamber, come hell or high water, you were there. But that would be an example of going all in as a business coach and then picking one strategy around lead generation and getting new clients and going all in on that one. And just real quick, Road Dog. So I've railed against this for years and will continue to, but it's like multiple streams of income, right? Like again, the business coach who's also, flipping houses on the side and renovating houses on the weekend, right? It's like Bezos wasn't doing Airbnb on the side, right? Zuck wasn't flipping houses and playing the stock market in the morning before he went to work. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what I mean by going just all in. This is what you do. This is how you earn your crust. And you are willing. I remember Road Dog in 2008. I basically obviously, everybody knows what happened in 2008. I got caught up in that to a lesser degree to others, but absolutely got caught up in it. And I just went, I am going to make the internet work. And I basically franchising is, something I know at a very high level in my background. And I just went, my attitude was that I was going to franchise the internet and I was willing to go broke in order to do it. You know what I mean? Like I just was not willing because I was doing planes, trains, and automobiles and traveling like a madman and just doing a lot of, planes, trains, and automobiles that quite frankly just is not what I wanted for myself. Right. So I just said, I am willing to go broke in order to achieve this. And remember, you'll be remembered in life for what you refuse to give up on, not what you love, not what you care about, not what you work hard at. You will be remembered in life for what you refuse to give up on. So go all in. Boom. So that's my answer, Shoots. What do you think?
Okay, so you talk about, so apparently you've given this to your local legends guys. So can you share some of that? Like how can you bring like those core beliefs of going all in? Like, like it'll be worth it, right?
Yeah.
Like can you share some of that with us?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we'll go to so great. Mel Fisher and this $100 million, I think it was significantly more than that, 300 million, but whatever, are the business 3 core beliefs. Is it there? Can I find it? Will it be worth it? Right? Are the business owners out there? Are you going to do what's required in order to get in front of them, get them in front of you, more to the point? And then very importantly, is it going to be worth it? Right? Your marketing should impact more people than your client list ever could. Translation, you're going to put 10 people into a local live event and you accept the fact that 7 or 8 are not going to buy from you and 2 to 3 are. Great. Guess what? You just educated 7 people for free. High five. Right? And Alex Hormozy's famous for this, right? Again, like the content that he puts out there is lights out. He knows that 98% of the people are never going to spend 5 cents with them. He's totally good with that, right? It's this podcast. It's my daily email. I'm constantly out there. Got 100,000 people on my my email list, right? Like again, not 100,000 people are going to buy from me. You know what I mean? Like they're not. A lot of them are there for the jokes, by the way, which are horrific, and I know that, but it's fun. But you know what I mean? Like they're. You know what I mean? That your marketing should be impacting significantly more people than you ever could with your client list. I think that's a different frame than the way most people are going at it. Remember, are you looking for reasons to advance, or are you looking for reasons to retreat? Okay, so Road Dog, you know all about this, right? You promote an event, you get X amount of people, booked and confirmed, and you're standing there, and what? 2 to 3 people show up, right? I've been there, you've been there, they've been there. My question is that a reason to retreat and turtle inside your suit jacket, or is that a reason to advance and go, never again, I'm not going to be look like a fool? And by the way, and what kind of show do you put on for the 3 people that show up? Right, I often in local legends, I talk about an event that I did and only 4 people showed up, and I remember I just felt like a total loser. Right, I was like, oh, and it was early on, right, and I was just like, oh my gosh, 4 people, and I was used to putting significantly more than that. You know what I mean? Like my marketing was working, let's put it that way. And just 4 people did not feel, you know what I mean? It's just not what I was expecting. Well, guess what? The show went on. I came up with a reason to advance in my head and not retreat, as in that I put on what I think was a fabulous seminar, the best of my abilities at that stage, which no doubt now I would look back at a recording of it and just absolutely cringe. But at the end of the day, the show went on. I put my heart and soul into it. I worked real hard. I stood up there and listened to problems, and again, came back with solutions and did my thing. And guess how many people out of the 4 bought? And you would be correct. All 4 bought. And quite frankly, that was an inflection point for me in my career, make me feel good. But forget me. What about you? Looking for reasons to advance, not retreat. No one shows up. A client cancels. I had one of my favorite clients and best clients on the phone this week. And it was just, he's just so pissed because somebody canceled. And I'm like, man, first of all, you got to just, dust off the shoulder, keep going. But again, you got to look at it like, you know what, screw that. Like, is it a reason to advance or is it a reason to retreat? And look, we're all human. So you can retreat for, a minute, an hour, a day, maybe a couple of days, but you got to turn that around real quick and make it, all right, I think, a reason to advance. So JV screws you over, doesn't contact you, somebody ghosts you, that told you they were going to do X, Y, Z. Again, a reason to advance or a reason to retreat. An employee rips you off. A deal goes sideways. If you've been in business for any period of time, you've had a deal go sideways. So you know what I mean? What are you going to do? And also, Road Dog, the magic is in the resourcefulness, right? You got to plan your future and create goals of the mindset that you absolutely have no limitations, right? If you're dedicated and you want it badly enough, the resources will show up. You got to be resourceful. Don't look for resources, be resourceful, right? So, and highly successful people are future orientated. The less successful tend to look to the past, right? So, so reasons to, like, if you've got no money, okay, that could be a reason to retreat. Like, oh, I've got no money. Who am I going to teach about money, right? Or it could equal more hunger, right? Or you've got no education. You don't have an MBA. Well, maybe that makes you street smart. You're too young. Okay, well, maybe that's a fresh perspective. I was young. Like I said, I was 30 when I got going as a business coach. Didn't have gray hair yet, right? Like, so, too young, it's a fresh perspective. Too old, you got lots of wisdom. You know what I mean? Like, what am I saying? Try take your weakness and turn it into a strength. Try take the reason they're not, like it's the holidays. Should they, do the event? We'll make that the reason why they should do the event. The reason, the competition is putting their feet up and you basically put your feet on the tarmac and start working real hard and pushing forward. I don't think tarmac is appropriate there, but whatever. The treadmill, you know what I mean? And like get rocking and rolling. You know what I mean? Like make that the reason they crank, right? And on a related note, but unrelated, semi-related, maybe it rhymes. Your greatest weakness is your greatest strength turned up too loud, right? Your greatest weakness, I'm going to say often, is your greatest strength turned up too loud. The power of that statement, in my opinion, is absolutely insane. And then the question is, what is your greatest strength? And in what areas of your life is it currently being turned up too loud? Right. So think that through, folks. Anyway, so shoots. I don't know. Just going all in. That, you know what I mean? Going all in. The business owners are there. You're the one that's going to impact them. It's going to be worth it. Right. So that's my It's my
I'm
shtick.
just going to say, by the way, Carl, when I get low turnout to an event, I
Yep.
absolutely love it because though I turn that around and I'm like, this is awesome. Because you know what you're going to get now? You're going to get a customized presentation, and we're going to focus on what problems you have, and I just make it a more intimate sort of an affair. Like you got 2, 3 people there, great. What are your biggest challenges? And you go through that and go, okay, let me go through my presentation, and we're going to nix out the parts that may not be as applicable to you, and then I just roll through that, and it's worked out great. So that's how I keep going, and that's
Yep.
just me though, right? You make it I've had it where I've literally had one person show up, and I'm like, awesome, we get a one-on-one session today, right? You make them feel special about it. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Take the negative turn. Do the same thing in a sale, right? They say, I got to ask my wife. And I say, the reason you got to ask your wife, man, is because you've made 19 bad decisions in a row, right? Let's turn that around. You don't have the time. Well, the reason you don't have the time is because you don't have the systems, you don't have the staff, and you don't, you know what I mean? You don't have the SOPs. I'm going to help you with that. That's the first order of business you and I are going to have. You don't have the money. Okay, well, the reason you don't have the money is because you're not doing all the stuff we just talked about, and you haven't had me kicking you in the you know what for the last 30, 60, 90 days, last year, last 5 years. Imagine what this place would look like if I was kicking in the pants for the last 3 years on a weekly basis. Look, let's get this thing going. The time is now. Your business is a child, and it needs some oxygen, man. Let's feed it. Anyway, so I love that. That's in sales.
So when it comes to business, like, do you think that there's actually a personality type best suited to being successful in business? And I'm going to follow that up. If there is, and someone is not that type, do you think it's possible for anyone basically to coach and guide that client? Let's say you have a client that's maybe not there in that right direction.
Hmm. Um, what would I say? I'd say the quieter reserved types, personality types are often more successful um, than their less flashy extroverted. So think Michael Dell, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, pretty quiet, silent killers in business, but quiet if you were sitting down having a beer with them kind of thing. Got that nerdy vibe about them. Can I say that? Is that going to get me in trouble shoots? But that being said, look, your client should not become someone they're not. That's for sure. It's so funny. People, and again, so got to be careful with what you think that you know. It's like, let's say you were single and you're on social media. What people are trying to do is like if you're an extrovert and then you marry an extrovert, you could be in a lot of trouble because you guys are always competing, right? So complementary, an extrovert and an introvert is a significantly better relationship on average, right? Than an extrovert and an extrovert, and then an introvert and an introvert because they never get anything done, never get rocking, right? Um, and then if you look at like online, people are there on, God knows Tinder. I've never been on Tinder in my life, but I don't need to be there to understand the dynamic. And what they're really looking for is they're positioning it and they're looking for a brother or a sister, like people that I have an insane amount of common with. So it's kind of like, you got to be careful with thinking that like the right personality type or that, you are XYZ. It's just sometimes again, those beliefs that you have, those thoughts that you have, or no, those beliefs that you think are absolutely correct, and then you don't question them, could be silent killers for you. That's what I'm trying to say. But that being said, you should not become someone that you're not. That's for sure. That being said, if you're highly introverted and you go to the social function, you know what I mean, and you want to get clients, you're going to have to put yourself out there. But what you do is you don't do it in like a flashy extroverted way. You start a conversation and you have kind of conversation that introverts have, right? And remember, introverts. An extrovert wakes up in the morning with no coins, and then they collect coins throughout the day, and the more coins they have at the end of the day, the happier they are, right? An introvert wakes up with 5 coins, and then once the 5 coins are spent, they're done. and they want to go watch TV by themselves. They want to go to bed, right? So again, just understanding like introvert, extrovert. So yeah, just don't be somebody that you're not, but do it in your own style. But if you don't put yourself out there, I got to tell you, you're gonna have a hell of a time as a business coach. But there's so many, like Evan Pagan comes to mind, and he's kind of gone on and doing some pretty cool stuff nowadays. But he insane. You can just listen to him, and you know that the guy's introverted as heck. But you know what he does is he presented in such a way that he was just very methodical and on the dry side. And it absolutely worked for him. So do you know what I mean? Like you got to make sure you're working to your strengths there a little bit. That being said, in the interest of mastery, small improvements, one day at a time, you could become a strong leader with your own style and be true to who you are, right? You don't have to change your style. Just be a little bit better today, a little bit better tomorrow, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. In 30 days, 60 days, 90 days of being a little bit better every single day and just trying to put one thing in action, you'd be blown away at where you could get in 90 days. And by the way, read the book The Outsiders for accelerating any insights into small improvements and what a real leader and the best kept secrets of the business world, or personality types, etc. Like even in my own world shoots, right? Like I can comfortably tell you I have grown at a mind-boggling level. Frankly, because this is just what we do for a living, right? So I mean, it's hard not to. But that being said, over the last short period of time, I've become significantly more, I'm going to say Zen-like, which is nothing Zen about me, but I'm trying my best to go in that relaxed, chill, just don't let things bother me. When I don't want to reply to something, you know what I do? I don't bloody reply to it. Um, that being said, I have responsibilities and priorities and values, and I let them run the show. But that being said, I got something I don't want to reply to, and I don't see a reason. You know what I mean? It just goes off my to-do list. I don't want to go somewhere. I don't want to, like, as an example, look, I was at, I was at a social function, right? And again, I'm in like non-drinking mode, been for some time, and I don't have like a problem. I'm not sitting there craving, a beer or wine, and I don't, just whatever. But I was like, you know what? My time is up, and it's time for me to go home. And essentially, I just removed, despite, some folks that were with me that didn't want me to go and tried to get me to stay. I made my decision to the, you know what I mean? For me, right there in that moment, and that felt so, you know what I mean? I was like, yeah, no, this is just not the right place for me right now. I'm going to bed, and I'm getting up in the morning, and I'm going surfing. That's exactly what I did. So good example, bad example, lame example, don't know. But I can just tell you that every day a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. I'm just, every day, just what I think about is my feeling my feet underneath me. It's kind of like a thing, right? And I'm just like, that's cool to me. You know what I mean? And if I just do that a few times a day and just go, feeling my feet underneath me and like the ground underneath me makes me feel significantly more present, makes me, in the here, in the now. I said this on a podcast not long ago. Michael Jordan's greatest gift, they say. This was Tim Glover, his one-to-one coach, and a very astute and intelligent guy, great coach. And he says that Michael Jordan's gift was his presence. So I thought that would be cool, right? But anyone can be great, partly because most play at such a low level, and partly because it's within you. It's within us all, right? But you need to know what motivates you. Generally speaking, like Jordan Peterson will say, like some people are open, as in you want to engage in a creative activity. Some people are neurotic. They want security. And then there's the extroverted. They want friends. There's those that are agreeable. Like they kind of want relationships and intimate relationships. They want relationships. And then disagreeable. And they want to be in competition with you, and they want to be in competition with people around them, right? And I think importantly, we're talking personality types. The most successful people are conscientious. Conscientiousness is a superpower of entrepreneurs. And again, and I surround myself. If you look at our staff, I had MBAs, PhDs, engineers, etc., all around me. And that, and you don't become an engineer if you're not conscientious, right? It doesn't mean that you have to be like it's your personal superpower, but you would never get a degree in engineering unless you're an absolute freaking rocket scientist. You know what I mean? If you're not conscientious. So anyway, so that's and by the way, there's two forms of that: industrialism and orderliness. And again, this is shout out to our boy Jordan Peterson. Industrialism is far more important if you want to be successful in business, right? So create some long-term goals and then create some targets to work towards, right? So personality type, make that your personality type. Come up with a long-term goal and then short-term targets to work towards. Think like situation analysis over psychological analysis, right? Like again, how like your feelings and your emotions, are they a positive or are they a negative? I would dare say that the vast majority, and not all, but the vast majority would say that their personal emotions do not help them in any way, right? So, and if you looked after your company, right, and like you built it the way you wanted to build it, what would it look like in 5 years, right? Create that photo. What's it going to look like when it's finished? And create a picture of the staff, the number of the staff, the roles of the staff, the monthly revenues, the amount of work that you personally would need to do, the time spent in the office by you and then by others with being realistic, and then the talents that they would have. And then, by the way, the greats will do the same for themselves personally so that they don't sabotage, right? So again, because if you've got 3 kids under the age of 5 and you're listening, totally different roadmap. And I assume you want to be a great father and a great family man and look after those kids. Well, if we build a roadmap and that involves you being in the office for 70 hours a week, I don't know what would happen. And no, not an office at home, but an office that you're separated from. What do you think would happen? And I'm going to tell you that generally it's going to rhyme with self-sabotage, right? Or what it rhymes with is divorce in the not too distant future, because your wife's like, holy cow, get out of that damn office and, care about your family. And they will, it'll last for a certain period of time, but generally, well, look, I don't know. Look at, what? Who cares what I think? Look at the stats. And I can tell you that entrepreneurs get divorced, separated and divorced at a ridiculous level, high level, right? So, and again, so you create a framework for your career, for your income, for your friendships, for your social habits, for your social circle, for your family, your religious beliefs, your commitments. And by the way, so do this and with what I said earlier. What kind of person are you? Are you extroverted, agreeable, disagreeable, open, or neurotic? Right? Like, do you love to compete? Okay, well, then your roadmap's going to be a little bit different, right? And also remember from last week, Road Dog, we talked about what motivates you, right? Like if freedom motivates you, if money motivates you, status / mastery motivates you, or intimate relationships, and what I mean, your relationships motivate you. Well, the one that motivates you is going to have it's going to have a bearing on how you want to move forward, how you want to move forward with your client. Like you want to understand this about your client. And remember, if you're not sure which one, freedom, money, status, or relationship driven, which one drives you or which one drives your clients, it's the one that if we took it away would drive you batty, right? So, that's like rather than like personality. So like let's design a week / a month / a year / a life that you'd like to have. Like remember, the most powerful question Road Dog can ask, I can ask, you can ask, your kids can ask, your parents can ask, your loved ones can ask, your grandkids can ask is of themselves, what do you want? What do I want? Right? And when you define that and define it well, what you're going to find is a lot of this stuff that I'm describing gets knocked over, right? Because you decide what you want. And if that doesn't involve 80-hour, 70, 80-hour work weeks, well, then there's going to be slightly different decisions made. And that being said, if you don't have kids or you don't want kids, or maybe, your kids are growing up or whatever that might look like, or maybe you're that damned and determined that you want to be successfully financial and in your business that you're willing to forgo a certain amount of years with your family, and your wife is backed you and supported that. Okay, well then your roadmap is going to look at that when you design that week, that month, that year, that life. it's going to look a little bit different. And by the way, when you do all this, don't listen to your mind. It's the enemy, right? When you're in your head, they say you're behind enemy lines. Absolutely my experience. And like you're a bad employee and you're an even worse boss for yourself, right? So if that's true, and I believe it to be, what's the solution? And that is to create rules, right? The issue you have is that if you lose a client, you'll go after yourself, right? Then you'll get depressed. Then you'll start a fight with your wife or your kids or someone, a loved one. Um, and then you isolate, and then you start drinking too much, maybe, or you sleep in, you don't go to the office, you don't reply to the emails, you stop working. You stop going to the networking functions. You stop following up with the prospects. You delay the upcoming event that Road Dog and I were talking about earlier, right? You further piss off your wife. You treat your kids poorly, the dog poorly, and then, by the way, you feel horrific about it. And now you're running out of money, and the list goes on, right? What do you think just happened to the individual I just described versus, let's just say, a conscientious person, right? We'll do this instead. You stop, you think, and then I want you to capitalize think, bold it, italicize it, underline it, and then recalibrates, right? Revisits existing rules, mental models and rules, right? Sets a new goal, recalibrates, adjusts the approach, create small wins, which will lead to big wins. Again, but Road Dog rolls up to the event and only 2 people show up. Look, he's human, right? He's disappointed. He had 10 people booked, 8 people confirmed, and 2 people showed up. He's pissed. I'd be pissed. You'd be pissed. But what do? What I just described a minute ago, or what does the conscientious person do? It's what Road Dog does, and he stops, he thinks, he recalibrates, takes a deep breath and go, okay, I've only got 2, I've only got 3 people in this room. I'm giving them my best stuff, and this is going to be like a 1-to-1, and let's bloody go. You know what I mean? And again, that becomes and there's a level of values there where if you come to see him, whether there's 2 people or 20 people or 200 people or 2,000 people, he's going to show up, right? So, the biggest thing I just said there, in my opinion, is think, right? My mentor always tells me, stop and think, stop and think, stop and think, stop and think. And, so what is that? What did I say? Create like some small targets that could lead to big targets, or some small wins that lead to big wins. Well, get 3 new contacts a day. Doesn't sound exciting until you do it for 90 days straight. And now you start to really build something up, right? So the conscientious individual will make the spiral go up versus the spiral go down. Okay, think about that. The conscientious individual will make the spiral go up rather than the spiral go down. And my question is, where's your current spiral? Where's your client's current spiral? Right? So like, people don't have psychological problems. They have things that went wrong in their life, and then they spiral, right? And then what I just described happens, and they don't recalibrate, they don't stop, they don't have mental models, they don't have rules, they don't stop and think. Right, like a negative a negative feedback loop rather than a positive one. But you got to know that it's coming. You got to understand that it is coming, and you got to anticipate the fact that it's going to come. Right. So again, positive loop versus negative one. Like, in some successful people don't let their problems creep into their work. Right. Successful people don't let their personal problems creep into their work. Unsuccessful people let all of their personal crap creep in to their day-to-day stuff that their workmates, their clients, their prospects get to feel, or, as the case may be, not feel, right? Like, again, you just become a nothing burger. Like, you're a prospect who you stop following up with. Believe me, they're not sitting there thinking about you, right? They get impressed by the conscientiousness and the follow through. So shoots, that's my I don't know, I think that's a monster hack for a business owner that wants to absolutely crush it. So personality type, yes, you know what I mean, there are, but guess what? If that's not your personality type, what do? Cry in the corner and say, oh, I'm not the, you know what I mean, I'm not that reserved, conscientious, full on. Okay, so what you do is you gotta create a roadmap. Remember, don't create ideas, create plans. Or certainly take your idea and turn it into a plan. Have you ever heard about Amazon? Like, in order for you, like, if you're going to table something at a meeting in Amazon, I believe, what is it called? You have to like write like a crazy memo that everybody gets at the meeting. And before that's tabled, basically they all read the memo very quickly. And then boom, you're all on the same page. Yeah, that memo is incredibly thought through, incredibly detailed, incredibly well outlined so that any dum dum could follow it, right? Very easily. No doubt there's a format for it. Um, and again, so ideas, you don't execute on ideas, you execute on plans. My question is, do you have ideas or do you have plans? And there's a debate to say there's a high probability, there's a high, even higher probability that your coaching client has got ideas and not plans. So that's my answer, Shoots. That's what I got for you.
I love the upward downward spiral. It reminds me of something that Dan Martell here I just actually texted it to you. He calls it a vibe check. And that is like, check in with yourself. Are you an upward spiral or a downward spiral? And then, it's pretty interesting, right? Because you gotta catch yourself for sure. So anyways, I sent that over to you. Question for you. Yeah. So because somebody had asked me this and I'm like, is this a good question for a client? Okay. So would you ask a client the following? What do you want to achieve at the expense of all other options available to you?
Ooh. That's a great bloody question. The more clarity you get and the more clarity your coaching clients get, the easier it's going to be for them to move forward and for you to accomplish that monster goal, for them to accomplish the monster goal, for you to guide them to the monster goal, right? So clarity, again, I said it, like if you don't know where if your sail is not set in the right direction, no amount of wind is going to help you, right? And how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And a goal is just one step at a time, right? So if you want to start walking, if you want to start jogging, you want to, if you want to get fit and your avenue is going to be jogging, walking, running, don't do a marathon, put your damn shoes on and walk around the block, right? And then what ends up happening? Nobody walks around the block. You end up 15 minutes, 30 minutes. And next thing you know, you might be at 90 days and walking, jogging, and running every day, right? And remember, it isn't about you. It's always about them. You'll always do more for others than you will for yourself, right? So, like when it's your turn to wake up and go for the jog, go for the swim, you roll over and hit the snooze button. When it's for your kids, you get up, boom, boom, boom. You're there 5 minutes early, no makeup, no this, no that, but you're there and your hair's all over the place, but boom, right? So just the, small steps, but make it about them, not about you. Again, that it's like earlier, we talked about, like just, the ingredient, you always do more for others than you will yourself. So again, don't, what I mean? When it's about you, you'll find reasons to retreat and not reasons to advance. So when you make it about them, you will make it, reasons to advance rather than retreat, right? So I don't know, take your first small steps towards your greatness. Put your damn shoes on is what I would say. And make it, like I said, make those goals big, lofty, because then if you make a big goal versus a small goal, you got to think at a higher level. You got to be resourceful at a higher level. You got to be influential at a higher level. So set some lofty goals, but just take a lofty goal, but a small step towards it. It's elephant, one bite at a time. And again, just use the metaphor of, completing a marathon. Just put your damn shoes on. So
let me ask you something, Karl.
Yeah.
So, because the whole putting them ahead of yourself, okay, this kind of reminds me of an expression of far too many people make vitamins and not painkillers, right? They're not making must-have solutions. They're building or selling something that is a nice to have rather than something that, finding a problem that people will throw money at.
Yeah.
Like,
Prevention.
right?
Prevention versus cure, right? Again, the richest people in the world are selling cures, and I don't know, the poorest people, but you know what I mean? Like, prevention just does not sell well, no matter who is bloody selling it, by the way. Um, or another example that I have used for years is dog food versus dog vitamins, right? Sell dog food, you build yourself a great business. Sell dog vitamins, and you go into the business of education. Sell dog food, and all you got to do is get into the supermarket at eye level with great packaging, and basically the thing will sell itself, right? Um, but yeah, prevention over cure. Find a way. So what you got to do is, so what Dan Kennedy would say and has said many a times, um, you got to separate what you do with what people will pay to see you do, right? So it's like any life coaches, right? Like life coaching, life coaches are all broke, right? Why? Because all their top clients are always business owners, right? And then what they're doing is putting out there, oh, feel better, better relationship, better marriage, better this, better that. It's all prevention type stuff, right? Well, all your best clients are business owners. So you basically become a business coach and then end up doing life coaching, right? Like all the coaches that do business coaching, we are a personal trainer, we are a career coach, we're a life coach, we're a peak performance coach, we are a grief coach, we are all of the above, right? But all the best clients are business owners. When you go to Tony Robbins, it's 80, if not 95% of the audience are all entrepreneurs, right? So understanding that is a ridiculously it's a competitive advantage on steroids. So yeah, prevention over cure, or cure over prevention when you're marketing all day long and twice on Sunday. So yeah.
Do you think that gets lost a bit, Carl? Like, do you think that as
Yeah.
business coaches, we just we
Yes.
don't do enough of the homework prior to meeting with a prospect of what their true problems and pain points are in their business?
Yes, what is it? Prescription without diagnosis is malpractice, right? So that's why, like, we built our software and the entire, my sales process for selling coaching for, I think 18 years now, is a series of questions, right? So, like, example, do you have a business plan? No. Do you have a marketing plan? No. Do you have a marketing budget? No. Do you have joint venture partners? What's that? Like, I sit there and I ask 100 questions and I get 80 no's. It's death by 100 cuts, right? Like, it's just like little cut. Do you have a business plan? No. And I don't, oh, that's okay. I'll, keep moving. But they automatically assume by me asking the question that I've got the solution for it. Right. So yes, business coaches are running around giving statements and solutions without presenting and bringing to the surface the problem. Absolutely.
Love that. Love that. Love that. Okay, man. One thing. What's the one thing from today?
The one thing, I think what we just went over, I think that is, death by, what is it? Death by 1,000 cuts or whatever. But, look for reasons to advance, not reasons to retreat. I think that, always just advance. Nobody shows up. Nobody replies. Like, don't get mad. Sorry, don't get sad, get mad would fall into the same, framework. Just again, and so frame, you are a professional athlete and this is your sport. My question is, how hard are you training? And I'm going to guess there's a good chance not hard enough if you were honest with yourself, and you got to combat that. So that's the look for reasons to advance, move forward, to crush it. That's my one thing.
To take it one step further, how hard are you training, and what are you actually tracking to know that you're actually making improvements, right? The golfer knows how many greens and regulations, how many fairways hit, how many putts. They know these statistics because they need to know what they're working on. You don't think that,
and they also know the drive, and then how many chips, and then how many putts, right? So again, their scorecard is broken up. It's like when you play football, right? It's not just the scores, it's the stat, how much, time of possession with the ball, possession in the offensive zone, the defensive zone, fumbles. Remember, winners win tournaments and losers lose tournaments. When you look at the Australian Open, you look at Wimbledon, you look at the French Open, the U.S. Open, the winner has less errors, less unforced errors than the loser, right? Losers, they go, you know what I mean? Like they basically hit the ball out and they hit the net. And by the way, these are the best played. That's Federer, that's Nadal, that's Djokovic, that's Serena Williams in the day, etc. It's right there for you. The winner of the Super Bowl this year, at the end of the game, the team with the less turnovers will win the game. And is that black and white? No. But look over the last 50 odd, whatever number of Super Bowls there's been, I got no idea, but call it 75. You are going to see that it's 80-20 all day long. What my dad says is there's 100 reasons to fumble the football. There's 100 reasons to fumble the football, but not one of them is good enough. Right? Avoid like a business coaching mastery standing right up there beside me. A real mentor can tell you what not to do. That's the magic. Look at your financial life, your business life, and look at the big mistakes that you made. And if you could have a mulligan on a couple of those, what kind of dollar value would you put beside it? And it is an insanely high number. So translation, spend time avoiding. Look, this is why you need mental models, why you need to stop and think. That's don't bite your nose off to spite your face kind of thing. So there you go, Shoots. That's my answer, bud.
Love it. There's so much more we could get into, but we're up against the clock here. So thanks for tuning in to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets with none other than the man, the myth, the king of the Caribbean, Karl Bryan, folks. If you're not on the inside and getting access to the pre-show, or you aren't getting Karl's daily emails, or just want information on profit acceleration software, flash coaching, or just how to grow, build, scale a business coaching business, go to focused.com and subscribe today. And again, if you enjoyed the podcast, of course, we'd appreciate it if you rate the episode, leave a review, do all of those things, as we know that the streaming services all put a ton of weight towards those. And that is it for another week. And remember, folks, progress equals happiness. We'll see you in the next episode.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0 to train business coaches how to find any small business owner more than $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. This becomes a business coach's superpower. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.